their origin, insertion, and actions. The erector spinae muscle group is made of three subdivision muscle groups: the iliocostalis, the longissimus, and the spinalis. The iliocostalis is also divided into three parts: the iliocostalis lumborum, the iliocostalis thoracic, and the iliocostalis cervicis. We can see that the origins, proximal attachments of the iliocostalis lumborum are the medial iliac crest and the medial and lateral sacral crests. The insertions of the iliocostalis lumborum, distal attachments, are the angles of ribs 6 or 7 to 12. The origins of the iliocostalis thoracic are the angles of the 7th to 12th ribs. The iliocostalis thoracic muscle inserts to the transverse process of C7 and to the angles of ribs 1 through 6. The origins of the iliocostalis cervicis are the angles of the 3rd to 6th ribs, and the insertions are the transverse processes of vertebrae C4 to C6. Next, we see the longissimus, which is also divided into the longissimus capitis, the longissimus cervicis, and the longissimus thoracis. The origins of the longissimus thoracis are the transverse and spinous processes of the lumbar vertebrae. It also originates from the sacrum and iliac crest via the iliocostalis lumborum tendon. Another origin is the lumbosacral aponeurosis. The insertions of the longissimus thoracis are the transverse processes of T1 to T12 vertebrae and are the area between the tubercles and angles of the 9th to 12th ribs. The longissimus cervicis originates from the transverse processes of T1 to T5 thoracic vertebrae. It inserts to the transverse processes of C2 to C6 in the cervical spine. The longissimus capitis originates from the articular processes of C4 or C5 through 7 and from the transverse processes of T1 to T5. Its insertion is the mastoid process on the temporal bone. Last of the erector spinae muscles is the spinalis, which is divided into the spinalis cervicis and the spinalis thoracis. We can see that the spinalis thoracis originates from the spinous processes of T11 or T10 to L2 or L3. It inserts to the spinous processes of T3 or T1 or T2 to T8. The spinalis cervicis originates from the spinous processes of C6 or C7, sometimes from T1 or T2, and inserts to the spinous processes of the axis, sometimes to C3 or C4. The erector spinae's innervation comes from the dorsal rami of the spinal nerves. The actions of the erector spinae are extension of the